where most people who are sad, depressed, lonely, upset, life is kicking them in the ass, they view their life as one story. There is one story, there's one inciting incident, one rising action, one climax. Viewing it that way makes people, the book's not over. There's still more chapters to come. And what I know to be true is that there are going to be just how you wouldn't be able to appreciate and be on the edge of your chair and riveted by the story of someone who's had no challenges. You wouldn't be able to appreciate that because there's no contrast. Welcome to the Trans Boss podcast, home of the Trans Boss movement, the place where empowered trans people come to discover what it takes to become the best versions of themselves. I am your host, Jasmine Vine, a Transfem trans empowerment specialist and the CEO of Divine, and I'm here to guide you on this empowering journey. In each episode, we'll dive deep into topics that matter to us trans people, like navigating through societal challenges, as well as building resilience and embracing an empowering mindset. We'll explore it all. We'll also bring on some incredible guests who are making a positive impact in the trans community. The Trans Boss podcast is your go-to resource for empowerment, hope, wisdom, and epic stories from empowered trans bosses across the globe. It's time to kick life's ass and create an empowered, authentic you. So without further ado, let's get into the episode. Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Trans Boss podcast. I am super excited for this episode, as I am for every freaking episode, let's be real. But today I want to talk about the challenges that we experience, and not just as a trans person, as a person. Every human experiences challenges in their lives. And it's the way we look at those challenges and perceive them that defines whether we suffer in life or whether we triumph. One thing I always like to think about whenever I'm going through challenges in my life, and of which there have been many, if you've watched the other episodes, you know about the bullying and the psych ward trip and the this and the that. There's a whole lot, right? A lot of people go through their lives thinking it's just shitstorm after shitstorm. They're born and the story is like they have the inciting incident that they're born, right? Then they have the rising action, which is just challenge after challenge after challenge, problem after problem. They feel crap. Life is beating them down over and over and over, right? Life is kicking their ass. Then they have the climax where it's like absolute dead end. Like they are at breaking point. They're so sick of it all. And then they have the ending, right? Or the falling action, the resolution. And a lot of people, the way they view it, their mindset, the resolution is their death. Who wants to buy that person's book? Who wants to go, oh, who feels inspired by that person? We all experience challenges in our lives. That is part of being human, right? When those challenges are happening, you could view it that way. You could choose to view it in a way that life is just kicking you, and that's just, you know, what it is. You're born, you fight, you die. That is what a lot of people subscribe to. That's not the case. If you've learned anything from these podcast episodes, if you've learned anything from me, it's that you can overcome big challenges. You can overcome really difficult things in your life and you can still succeed. You can still push through. You can still be okay. When you are experiencing challenges, the way I would suggest you try to view those things is still in the same story format. In every story in our lives, every movie we watch, every show, every TV show, everything, every book, there is an inciting incident, there's a rising action, there's a climax, there's the falling action, there's the resolution. It's 5 parts to those stories. So the inciting incident is the challenge. It's the big challenge that we're coming up against. It's like the foreboding, like, ooh, what's this thing that's going to come up? I've got Avatar on my mind just because of the live action Avatar release recently, which is a whole nother story. But anyway, the inciting incident is like, whoa, okay, here I am and there's this war and there's this comet coming that's going to defy a nation to win the war. Like you can put this onto anything in your life, any situation that you've gone through, but there's that challenge. So then we have to rise to it. So there's the rising action, there's the challenges that come as a part of that. Think of that as kind of the side quests on the journey to, you know, overcoming that bigger challenge that is on the way. Then there's the climax. There's the part where I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to survive. I'm not sure if I'll be able to make it through this. It's the point where you survive or you don't. And in basically all the movies you will ever watch, the person actually makes it through that. They make it through the climax. They get to the falling action, the fourth phase. And so things start to settle down. The tension starts to dissipate. It's like, whew, okay, we've conquered that. We've done the thing. It was really, really difficult. There were all of these challenges and we overcame them all. Friendship, celebration, like, I don't know, like it's inspirational, right? And so that's the resolution. The resolution is like inspiration. The heroes are looking back on their journey going, wow, look at all the things that we overcame. You know, thinking of Avatar again, what happens right at the end? The nations are united and they're standing there in solidarity and, you know, all the happy ending music, right? This happens in our lives all the time. And I want you to understand that the very fact that you are here listening to this right now means that you are in that cycle and that you are overcoming challenges, because you have overcome every single challenge up to this point. Because if you hadn't, you wouldn't be hearing the words I'm saying. Get what I'm saying here? You are a survivor. You are someone who is strong, who has the ability to overcome really difficult challenges. And you have. Think back on your life about some of the most difficult challenges that you've had. The ones where you thought, I'm not going to make it through this. The ones where you thought, oh my goodness, this is too difficult, right? If I think back on my life, there are tons of things like that. Going to school as a trans person and transitioning in school was a massive one for me. That was the challenge I had to face. That was the inciting incident in that particular chapter of my life. The rising action was all of the challenges I experienced through that. The bullying, the being pulled into the principal's office, being told that I had to wear the male school uniform, and like all of these challenges, the dating challenges, like there are so many challenges that I experienced as a part of that. And then there was the climax. There was like, I can't do this anymore. I have to drop out of school. And I did. When I was 16, I left school. I decided my mental health is way more important than this education and staying here. That was like the climax for me. That was I can't do it. I'm sick of this. I'm over it. And I don't know if I'm going to make it through if I continue to stay there. So then there was the falling action. Things started to settle down. That tension started to dissipate. The schooling issue wasn't so much an issue anymore. There was the resolution there. It was like, okay, I kind of have an idea of what I actually want out of my life a little bit more. In that, I knew that school wasn't going to get me where I wanted to go. I knew that getting to the end of year 12 wasn't going to be that thing that was going to make or break my life, essentially. And so I had a little bit more clarity around that. And so that resolution came in. I was like, okay, I'm closing this chapter. This chapter of my life is closed. I'm no longer dealing with all of those challenges. Now I'm dealing with new challenges. Now the chapter opens up where I move out of home and I'm kicked out of a house because the landlords didn't know that we were living there. I actually made a YouTube video on that back in the day. Don't watch it because it's cringy teenage Jasmine. Okay, you can watch it if you want. That was the new challenges that were coming up. That was another chapter of my life where most people who are sad, depressed, lonely, upset, life is kicking them in the ass, they view their life as one story. There is one story. There's one inciting incident, one rising action, one climax. Viewing it that way makes people feel hopeless. And if you know anything about this podcast or anything about me, my purpose in this life is to help people feel hope, to help them have hope for a future, to know that they can get through really difficult things. That's why I share so openly about my experiences on my platforms. That is what I do here. Hello, lovely. If you like what you're hearing so far, and I hope you do, then you are going to love the free trainings that I have. So these trainings have helped hundreds of my own clients and my followers get into a place of empowerment, loving their authentic selves with more hope, comfort, confidence, and safety. And that is really what we're all about here. So if you're listening to this podcast, there's something for you, trans or not, whether you're interested in trauma healing or, learning to live a more empowered life, in control life, or if you're just sick of your voice getting you misgendered, then these trainings break down my core methodologies to help you with all of that and more. And it's the methodologies that I use with all of my clients. So you can register for that via the link in the description box below, and I will see you there. Mwah. Now let's get back into the episode. And so I want you to understand that when you view your life in that way, if you view your life in that way, you're going to feel hopeless. It's going to feel like a shitstorm. And you don't have to do that. You don't have to let it be like that. You can choose to view it like it actually is. Your life is a series of books, okay? You have the book of your life. There are chapters in this book. Whoop, there's chapter 1, there's chapter 2, there's chapter 3. This person went through a bunch of things and issues in their life. Every chapter is a new challenge. It's a new story. And here's the thing. Why do you listen to this podcast? Why do you listen to things that I have to say? Because I can guarantee if I got on here and I said, hey everyone, I was born and my life was perfect. I had no issues. I loved my life. I was never bullied. Went through life and was happy and I was fulfilled and I knew exactly what my purpose was from the moment I popped out of the vag. But you probably wouldn't listen to that story. It'd be like, this person is so boring. They've got no substance to them. That would not be human. I want to make that very clear to you. That would not be a human experience. That's an android. Like that's a robot going through that life. And do you want to listen to a robot's stories? Probably freaking not, because it's not interesting. Someone who's never experienced any challenges, who's never overcome anything in their life, that is not interesting. That's not inspiring. And so part of the reason I am so grateful for the complications, for the challenges, for the problems that I've had in my life is because that I am confident in my ability to overcome challenges, partly because I know that I've overcome 100% of the challenges so far. So that's a pretty good success rate in my life. And you have too. And when you view your experiences in that way of, this is just another chapter. There's another chapter in my life. I'm working through the stages. I'm doing the things. And eventually I'm going to come out of it. And you can choose to say whether that has broken you and it's defeated you and it's made you completely hopeless and useless. You could choose to do that. And I have in the past many, many times. I've chosen to view my experiences in that way. And when I say chosen, I mean unconsciously. I felt defeated. I felt hopeless. I didn't have purpose. And so unconsciously, I chose that victimhood because that felt comfortable. That didn't require me to do anything extra. It didn't require me to better myself. That is where I felt comfortable and where I stayed. There are still challenges. There's still things that I've spoken about some of the challenges that I've had recently on this podcast about losing, over $50,000 in a bad business decision and struggling to pay my rent. I've cried on here. I've shared those experiences as they've happened in my life. What happened as I went through that? There was that rising action. I was getting hit from all sides and I'm struggling to pay my rent and I'm struggling to do all the things. And I've got all these self-doubts on whether my business is going to succeed. And I'm like, oh my gosh, am I going to have to go back to a HR job? All of those things came up, all of those self-doubts, all of those issues. And then guess what happened? I kept pushing forward. I kept moving. Something happened where a whole bunch of clients just came on all at the same time. And I was like, wow, I think I can actually do this now. And now this quarter of 2024, this quarter is currently my highest financial quarter that I've ever had in my business, over 3 years. So I went from feeling like I'm going to give up, that there's so much happening. I'm just getting hit from all sides. I can't find a house. My friendships are all breaking up. And I'm like, there were all of those challenges in this chapter of my life. And now I have gotten to the resolution side of it. I've gone, okay, I can do this. I'm inspired, right? The book's not over. There's still more chapters to come. And what I know to be true is that there are going to be issues that come up. There's going to be challenges. I'm probably going to have a bunch of self-doubt again. There's probably going to be a whole bunch of more issues that tempt me to give up. But I will not give up. It is not permanent. It's just a chapter. Just like when I moved to a place where I wasn't happy, I moved interstate and I was super isolated. I was feeling really unhappy with where I was living. It was so cold. I just hated it. There was no water around. I really hated being there. And that was a year of my life. That was a year of my life where I was there and I was doing the best I could with the resources I had. And then I closed that chapter and I moved to another state, and I'm much happier here. It's sunny, there's water around, I've got a better social life than I've had for many, many, many years. And that's another example of that story happening. That's another example of that chapter. There's the incident, there's the challenges coming up, there's the climax, which was me breaking down and going, I can't do this, I can't stay here. And I felt all this expectation that I had to stay there. And then I decided, I'm not a tree. I can replant myself, I can move. It's not the end of the world, right? It's just a chapter. And so I moved. And then the resolution came. I felt much better and I'm much more excited about where I'm living. That's just another chapter. I want you to think of your life in terms of chapters. Your life is a series of chapters in a series of books. Really consider that, because when you do that, when you change how you view the challenges in your life, that it's not just life hitting you while you're down and continuing to do so until you die, that's not your life. It's just a chapter after a chapter. And you can choose to use that in a positive way or a negative way. You can choose to let it break you or let it be the springboard to a positive future. All the bullying I experienced throughout my life, from ages 5 to when I dropped out of school and then online incessantly, all of that bullying, I am so, so grateful for it, because I can now use it to inspire other people. I do inspire other people with that. People come to me going, oh my gosh, you know, I'm in the thick of it right now. I'm being bullied constantly and I'm really struggling. And hearing your story has helped me to know that I can get through it. And I can be happy at the end of it. And that is what I want for everyone. That is what I want for you listening to this right now, is to just view that as a chapter and to choose how you want to use that. I use it to inspire people. I use it to motivate people. I use it to put my own challenges into perspective. I say to myself, what part of the story am I in right now? What part of the movie am I in? And if I'm in that part where it's the rising action and I'm getting towards the climax and everything feels too overwhelming and it's crap, I go, I'm just at that part of the story. And soon, if I keep moving, I'm going to move through that part of the story and then begin the next chapter. And that is not a negative thing. You can use that in a very positive way. And I would encourage you to do so. Oh my goodness. So ask yourself, what part of the story am I in? Choose to view your challenges in a way that says, okay, this is an inspiring thing. Once I make it through this, I am going to be proud of myself and I'm going to be able to inspire other people, because no one wants to hear the story of the person who has had no challenges or no issues in their life. They want to hear the story of people who have gone through stuff, people who have been on the brink, on the edge. They have struggled. They have really not believed they were able to make it through, and then they did. That's what people want to hear. And if that's the story you're willing to tell, you will be a very inspiring, very powerful person, and you will view your life in a way that allows you to experience gratitude for the challenges. We're on this pendulum. It's swinging that way. It's swinging that way. The climax is right in the middle there. And then it calms down, right? Calms down. And then, oh, here's the incident. Shit, am I going to make it? And then it calms down. That's the pendulum of life. That is duality of life. We can't experience all the positive without the negative. And if we did, we wouldn't be able to appreciate the positive. Just how you wouldn't be able to appreciate and be on the edge of your chair and riveted by the story of someone who's had no challenges, you wouldn't be able to appreciate that because there's no contrast. So the challenges in your life are just contrast. I will leave you with that. That is all from me for this one. I hope this has been inspiring for you to view your challenges in life in a totally different way. That's it for me for this one. So I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of the Trans Boss podcast. If you support the Trans Boss movement, it would help immensely if you could leave a review on your favorite podcasting app, follow us, and share your biggest takeaway from this episode on social media. Don't forget to tag me at jasmine.vine on Instagram, because I would love to see it. Now get out there, do the things, and take the next step into that empowered life you deserve. See you next time.